break out the bush. Goodness gracious, the party was on last night at Wrigley. The Cubs, phenomenal, Mr. David. You called it, Ian Happ. You called your shot. That's pretty impressive.
Good
Not
morning,
since
Mully.
Babe Ruth.
It's quite a Friday here. What a night it was at Wrigley Field. Electric, frenetic, chaotic. All the things you could use, all the ways you to describe what happened last night. Memorable. That game, that atmosphere contributed to that outcome. The fans, this is one of the more...
I was a big fan win. No question
no doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
You heard it from Pat Murphy after the game.
Yep.
You heard it from the Cubs throughout the series. Wrigley Field, it's a difference maker, and it certainly has made a difference in this series. Cubs win 2 in a row. Now it's up for grabs. Game 5. Live to see another day. You got big home runs. You got clutch pitching. You got the Cubs rising to the occasion collectively to force a Game 5 Saturday night in Milwaukee.
I guess there have been 90 times that a team has gone down 2-0 in a series, and 80 times the team that is up 2-0 wins, but 17 times a team has pushed a Game 5. Those teams 10-7.
That's a great number.
It's a great number for the Cubs heading into Milwaukee.
Suddenly there are a lot of interesting numbers that favor the Cubs.
Are working better for you.
That's one I saw immediately after the outcome last night. Here's another one that Jordan Bastian put on Cubs.com. There have been 35 previous instances in which a team lost games 1 and 2 on the road in the NLDS, in the current 2-2-1 format.
Yeah.
Only 5 of those teams, 5 of those 35, forced a winner-take-all Game 5. And of those 5, 3 of them went on to complete the comeback.
That's another good
So
number.
that favors you as well.
Yes.
And I think you'd have to be...
That's pretty good.
You would have to be really oblivious to the environment last night and what's going on in this series to think anything but the Cubs have an advantage going into Milwaukee on Saturday night.
Which sounds like it's an oddity to say. Going back to Milwaukee, they have the advantage. But the reality is, you got to think about the psyche of a young team. They have been eliminated early in the playoffs before, right? Mm-hmm. That team, I know not all of them were on it, but a lot of them were eliminated by the Mets last year, and we know how that went down. And you just have to wonder if you are a team that has been sort of had this great year, you're almost talking yourself into magic, you dominate the first 2 games, then you face that. And the Cubs, it was different this time. They didn't just score in the first inning. This time, they added to it. This time, they doubled the number by the end of the game.
No doubt about it. But wasn't it remarkable that they scored again in the first inning?
Oh, it's incredible.
It's like, don't get there late.
You know what?
You don't want to miss a first inning at bat.
Do it again. Do it again. That is a young team.
Load up.
And if you really want to put them in harm's way, who knows how they will react mentally if you jump on them again.
No doubt.
Another 3-run homer in the first tomorrow would be magic.
Well, what happened in game 3 was Quinn Priester crumbled. What happened last night was Freddie Peralta blinked. He was a veteran.
Freddie Peralta.
That looked like he was rattled.
Well, that's the guy.
They got to him. And Mully, I was there, and it was an electric atmosphere. And when they started, the crowd started chanting, Freddie.
Yeah.
Like, what inning is this? What time is it?
Yeah.
Is this the first inning? You're 2 batters in, and you're already chanting at the starter, and it affected him. And it affected the Brewers. You're exactly right. We heard from Pat Murphy after the game, giving the Cub fan base and the Wrigley atmosphere credit for making his team buckle. And that when you have somebody like
who acknowledges what you saw.
Acknowledging that's respect, and it's also telling. Very, very telling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what a night. So now the Cubs are in a really good position.
Well, I mean, they still have a decision to make. And I'll be very curious to see how the decision goes, because if you listened to what Craig Counsell said in the pregame about Matthew Boyd, about how they knew they were going to start him in before it started, they were going game 1 and game 4, and they knew it, and they told him that, and they had. it just makes you worry what's going to happen in Game 5.
It does, Mully, but I think that when you heard him talk about the certainty that they had about Matt Boyd going to the mound for Game 4, it was almost based on the fact that it was the numbers driven.
Yes, he was.
He was so good at Wrigley Field.
Yeah,
that was his 16th start last night,
and he knew that they had started him without any rest in the previous
and this was
game.
Ordinary rest,
Yes.
and you saw the typical experience. Matthew Boyd rose to the occasion. Longest postseason start of the year for the Cubs, 4 2/3. He got 14 outs. He got 13, I think, against the Padres in that memorable outing. And last night, he was composed. He was very much in a zen-like state. He was the guy that found whatever it was working for him, and he focused and he delivered. And that was exactly the right choice for that moment. Now, what happened Saturday in Milwaukee? We're going to have fun discussing it because there are ways you could go and arguments you could defend, but I do think it's a pretty simple decision. If Tommy Hotovy were sitting here,
it's Colin Ray.
Yes.
And that's it.
I think that's got to be it.
Let me
Mully.
ask you this.
I think it's got to be him.
Do you see Shota at all? It's all hands on deck. It's Colin Ray is starting the game.
Yeah, I do. You
could go, I don't know, 2-3 innings with him and hand the ball to Shota for an inning or two, and then you got Aaron Savale or whoever is
you've got
sitting there
options
that could jump right in if there were anything that went awry.
You've got one of these games like where if you have this card, you go this direction. If you go this card, you go that direction.
Right.
If you pick Colin Ray and he goes 3 innings, say, then you have an open door to Pomerantz, or is it Shota if you have a lead, or is it then you see the right-handed choices. Savale makes sense, maybe.
He pitched well there
in that park.
He's been there.
He could duplicate that success. Or if Ben Brown has pitched well in that park too. Might be a moment too big for him. I don't know. But you do have different options, different paths, depending on game situations.
Yes. I mean, you could conceivably
matchups.
Have a couple guys go and wind up in the 6th inning, and then you just line up your guys.
You want to get to the 5th.
Because they're off today.
You want to get to the 5th, and then you line up your Palencia plan.
Yeah.
And everything starts with him. Because when you get to your high leverage situation, after you get through the starting pitching portion of the program, you line up your bullpen. And it seems like, doesn't it seem like the second act begins when Daniel Palencia appears?
Wasn't Matthew Boyd good yesterday? Wasn't he really good? Weren't you sort of relieved to see there had been all this talk pregame that is he gassed? He might be gassed.
It was so reassuring.
It was so great.
It was so reassuring, and it was so typical of the kind of calming effect he has had on this staff and on this season for the Cubs. When he has taken the mound, regardless of the circumstances, it's been like, well, I'm glad to see him because whatever you were worried about, you feel calmer now. He's like the dad that calms everybody's nerves and makes all the right decisions.
I mean, both pitching staffs are kind of up against it, right? You look at it and you wonder, what are they going to do, right? I mean, it's not like Milwaukee has all the obvious answers. I get it. They'll probably have an opener to the game, and then you'll see the Miz. But do we know what he's got in his head?
I would think if you're the Cubs, you have this mentality. It's obvious to say this. Bring on the Miz. Because I don't know how he'll respond to that. He could be lights out and hit 103 and be the guy that uses that adrenaline as fuel, or he could crumble because he's a 23-year-old who's never faced that kind of situation and pressure before. Because when you're talking about pressure, which is a real thing, especially when you have the youngest team in the playoffs, and I think that's a stat courtesy of Pat Murphy.
Yes.
If you are the youngest team in the playoffs, you have to acknowledge the fact that they could be feeling all of the pressure now because they had a 2-game lead over a team that was down and out, ready for the postseason, talking about what's next season looking like. And now the Brewers, you're going home and you're rattled.
And let me say this, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I was watching, I was on the game, it took forever for the game to start. So I was watching the Hawks, watching the Bulls, watch some Monday Night Football. I'm looking at my clock, and I'm like, oh, my God, it's been 15 minutes. I'm also online, and I saw a video of your guy, Dustin's guy, Justin Turner, having like a private hitting session with Matt Shaw. And when Matt Shaw ends up with a couple hits, I was like, well, thank you, Coach Turner. And he's not a coach, but he's a coach
Designated
as well.
hitting instructor.
And he's not just a hugger. He was there.
He's the
and
designated
he was going,
hugger?
I'm telling you, he was going.
Hitting instructor?
I mean, I watched the tape of it, and I thought to myself, like,
Party planner?
If Shaw does nothing, but he did.
He did.
So it is incumbent upon me
let's face
to
it.
say there's a reason the guy's on the roster, and congratulations.
That had to be difficult for you
to Justin
get
Turner.
to that point.
I'm just
We got to
felt
game
I had
5.
to acknowledge it.
Of the postseason in
Yes.
the NLDS, and you have complimented Justin Turner.
Hey,
It only took you till October 10th.
I mean, we've had issues with Richard Hightower,
Yes.
and then he had a good performance,
Yes.
and we complimented him.
We're fair here. We're fair. We definitely will give credit where it's due. And Justin Turner is there for a reason.
What was it like for you personally just to get off the schneid to get that first hit?
Yeah, I mean, that was very nice to get the first hit for sure.
I mean, I saw you talking to Turner also pregame. I mean, what was he, some of these other guys, what were they telling you to try to stay focused and just not do too much?
Yeah, I mean, we did some early hitting, so we got to talking about a few mechanical things that was really helpful. So I'm really appreciative from that for him. And I mean, just kind of taking that work into the game and trusting the process a little bit there.
Okay, so how much of his $6 million that he will earn this year do you attribute or do you give him because of his ability to get Matt Shaw back on track?
Well, there's no other reason to pay him. I'm kidding.
That isn't really it's a thing though. Matt Shaw finally came up with his first hit since September 26th.
He had been hitless in the playoffs.
And then he had another one. And he was a guy that came through. And last night you saw a couple guys that if this continues Saturday, different feeling about this offense.
And if a guy doesn't get a hit for how many different games and series, are you a hater if you think maybe you should take him out of the game?
No. Why?
I don't understand
I hate that term.
why. Yeah.
I hate that term.
No.
You're trying to be...
You're an impatient waiter.
You're trying to be objective and address or assess the way the Cubs can get better. And going into last night, one of those ways to consider was, well, you know what? Matthew Boyd is 0 for the last 2 weeks. What about Willie Castro from the left side against the right-hander? Okay, they didn't do that because Craig Counsell, we're learning in this postseason, clinging to convention when it comes to his everyday lineup.
Just stays with those guys.
It's okay.
And it paid huge
It
dividends
really did.
Yesterday. No
because
question.
You got the big homer from Happ, which changed everything. You got the big homer from Bush, which changed our breakfast. And you got Kyle Tucker coming through for the first time in a long time. You needed that. And Coombe was on it. And when you hear Ron Coomer talk about how big that swing from Kyle Tucker might have been if it leads to something special Saturday, and then if he removes the onus and the monkey off his back for the NLCS, goodness sakes, the possibilities. Kyle Tucker looking like the Kyle Tucker that we saw when he was hitting the ball out of the ballpark changes this lineup in a way that's profound.
That was huge.
Huge.
And I don't believe he was picked off base ever in that game.
I don't think he was.
That was just an oddity. And we talked about it. It's not hating. Jeez. It was really there. I don't think that you can have any complaints about what happened yesterday. I thought that they got great pitching. You know, they pitch a shutout. That they not only do they get the big home run in the first inning and they keep this first inning magic going. They added on, and they've struggled to add on in these playoffs. They have really struggled to do that, and they finally did it, and they did it in a big way, and it was great.
How about the way that Palencia comes in? Matthew Boyd gives you all he's got in 4 2/3. Palencia comes in, 2 runners on.
Yeah.
Jackson Churio at the plate. One pitch. You get the pop-up.
Jackson Churio had been 500 in the playoffs up to that point and had an extra base hit in every single game. I mean, he's been on fire.
Little nervous.
He's been excellent.
A little nervous at that point, not going to lie.
I think, yeah.
It looked like you didn't know what direction it was going to go.
Right.
You wondered what version of Palencia you would get, and he
gave you closer
He
version.
delivered.
Yeah.
He did. He gave you fifth inning closer vibes.
Yeah.
That's the key, and as we're learning, that's the formula that the Cubs have used successfully. You go to these high leverage situations, you start it with Palencia, and it's like everybody falls in place from there. And good for Brad Keller. You don't know necessarily. This is all new for these guys as well.
Oh, God.
In October, him playing this role for a team that is one victory away from the NLCS.
He was deemed disposable by the worst team in baseball history.
I know.
That's a reality.
It's a great
and
story.
Here he is now doing this. So I think you have to appreciate the fact that they saw something, they got something, and they're really riding high with something right now.
Well, he
Good job.
definitely opened the door to that bullpen full of possibility because everybody else got to fall into place, whether it's Pomerantz or Thielbar. Craig Counsell knows exactly what he wants out of both guys who are left-handed but might have different experiences or splits against different hitters. So the inner circle of trust has widened a little bit.
Yes.
And expanded. And now as they go into a winner-take-all game in Milwaukee on Saturday night, you feel pretty good about all of the options down there. I don't know that somebody he would go to now. Actually, I have to be honest about it. The person that you would feel shakiest about is Shota. If he were to go to Shota Imanaga, you would feel like, is this the right move? Whether it's in a starting role or whether it's he's got to come in a clean inning. I don't think he would come in with runners on base, but you would feel a little bit iffy about that.
And that is the sad reality of where you're at. And I don't know any of my Cub fans will take a poll a little bit later. I don't know anyone that wants to see him start that game. Honestly, I haven't talked to anybody that thinks that's a really
I don't know what
idea.
the argument would be.
I don't either.
And I don't know that Craig Counsell, who you think
who buys into those type of arguments, back of the baseball card, he's going to be who he was.
But we've credited him for having common sense.
Yeah.
But starting Shota Imanaga would defy common sense. It wouldn't seem to be a logical conclusion to or an answer to the question, who gives the Cubs the best chance to win Saturday night in the first three innings, or to get off to a good start, or to protect the lead if they can get a lead in the first. And by the way, don't be late Saturday night. Don't be late. I mean, you miss a first inning, miss a little, miss a lot.